Hey, we are going live. Hey, welcome to the Kellie Kitchen. Yeah, we're here for another week of keto cooking in the Kellie Kitchen, and we have got a few new recipes. So let's get started. We're going to do a baked feta salmon. And that's a little play on that viral TikTok video that happened a couple of weeks ago, a couple months ago. But this is with salmon. And actually, we're not using a block of feta cheese. We're going to use crumbled cheese. So we're going to get started on that. We're also going to be making, not my recipe, but someone else's recipe. We're going to be making buffalo chicken CHaffles. Yes. I will share with you what that is. And then I'm also going to be making a keto chocolate Danish. It's kind of like a chocolate croissant, but it is a chocolate Danish. Hi, Amy. How are you? Hi, Mendy. Hi, Vic. Good to see everybody. Let's get started. The baked feta salmon recipe you can find on my website, thekelliekitchen.com, thekelliekitchen.com, Kellie with an I-E. And, oh, hi, Bernie. How are you? Good to see you. And Cindy, I see you guys. Thanks for joining me. It's very windy out here in Southern California, but still warming up, and we're getting there. So I've got my oven going at 400 degrees, and I'm actually only making a half of this recipe. I'm not interested in having salmon tonight. I'm going to have the buffalo chicken CHaffles, but Peter is going to have the baked feta salmon. And we had this on Saturday night, and it was so delicious. So I only have half of the amount of salmon. So usually you're going to use 2 fillets of salmon or more. The recipe calls for a pound of salmon. It really depends on how thick and how large your salmon pieces are. We're going to use our beloved cherry tomatoes, and the recipe calls for a cup of cherry tomatoes. We're going to use about a half a cup. We're going to just pour those right into our casserole dish. That's pretty easy. We're also going to throw in some chopped red onion or sliced red onion. And again, I'm only using half of the amount. We're going to use Kalamata olives. These are pitted. Make sure you get the pits out. You can use sliced or you can use whole. I like to use whole. I already drained them, and I'm going to toss those. See how easy this is? Like a dump cake. Super easy. I'm also going to add 2 cloves or 1.5 cloves of chopped garlic. We'll put that in. So we have all of our stuff there, and half of the feta cheese. Now the recipe calls for a full cup of feta cheese. We're going to use a half a cup. I'm going to just eyeball it here, and I'm just going to pour that right in. That's about a half a cup. And then we're going to use 2 tablespoons. The recipe calls for a quarter of a cup, or we're going to do half of that. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to use a half a teaspoon. Oh, that's the rosemary. I don't want to use rosemary. I want to use the Italian seasoning. There it is. Italian herbs. You can use oregano if you want. And we're going to do a half of a teaspoon. Again, the recipe's on the website. So I'm just doing half of this recipe because only Peter is eating this tonight. So I have all of our stuff just tossed into a casserole dish. I'm going to take a spoon. We're just going to give it a nice toss. We're going to coat all the tomatoes and onions with the olive oil. We're going to coat everything with the cheese and get it all mixed together. I add salt and pepper on the recipe, but only use it if you want to. The salt in the olives and the salt in the feta are quite nice and I think enough for taste. And I don't think that you need to add any more. So there, my friends, is a quick mix of those ingredients. Then we're going to take our piece of salmon. Skin is on. You don't have to have the skin on. You can have the butcher take it off. We're going to do skin side down on the salmon. And we're going to do a little bit of red chili flakes, red pepper flakes, and just a tad, not too much. Probably use about 1/4 of a teaspoon tonight. You can omit this, but it adds a really nice, just a tiny bit to this recipe. And we're going to drizzle 1 teaspoon of olive oil right over top there. And you guys, that is ready to go in the oven. How quick is that for an easy keto family meal? Now, you can probably use other fish as well if you don't want to have salmon, or if maybe cod is on sale or whatever. Your baking times will vary. The key is that the tomatoes and the onion olive mixture, that needs to bake for about 20 minutes in a 400-degree oven. I'm going to set it for 15, and then I'll check it. But it usually, depending on the thickness of your fish, it's about 10 minutes per inch, and that fish was a little bit over an inch, maybe 1.5 inches. So I'm going to set it for 15, and then we'll check it. We'll do our basil towards the end, and you know, that's fresh basil is a really nice addition to this meal. Okay, this next recipe is not mine, it's somebody else's. I have been seeing this all over TikTok. I'm kind of a little obsessed with a buffalo chicken chaffle. And it's kind of like a meal in of itself, because it's got, you know, chicken in the mix. And the reason that I like this recipe is because it uses canned chicken. And I just got a 5-ounce can of breast meat chicken, and I've already opened it, but I'm going to squeeze all of the juice out of your can here. You want to get it nice and dry, because you don't want your CHaffles to be too wet. You want them to be dry so that they'll get nice and crispy. Okay, so let me move my stuff. I have some fun things to tell you guys too. I'll get to it all. So I've got both my chaffle makers going here. I have 2 of them going. They each get their own little plate here to catch any of the drippings. That's one lesson that I definitely learned with CHaffles, is that you got to have something underneath, because the cheese sort of melts and gets all greasy underneath. So you want to, you know, keep those plates under there just to help clean up. Oh, hi, Sandra. How are you? Good to see you. Tell me where you guys are from. I love seeing where you guys are from all over the country. I have a new client that's starting tomorrow. She's from Norway. And so I'm gonna learn all about her and that culture, but it's kind of fun to see people from all over the world. And I'm sure Aunt Suko is there too. She's my friend from Japan. Anyways, let's move on. We're gonna make some buffalo chicken chaffles. In my measuring cup here, I have cheddar cheese, I have almond flour, I have baking powder, I have softened cream cheese. Let me tell you where I got this recipe. I got this recipe from, oh, I'm so mad at myself. Shoot. I threw away the page that had her website on it. I'm so sorry. Well, I will post her recipe. I'm not sure where it is, but it's for 6 chaffles, and we're just gonna mash all this stuff together. We have our drained chicken. This is chicken breast. You can certainly use rotisserie chicken if you want, but this is just a little hack. It's hi Joan, how are you? It's chunk breast chicken, and we're gonna add that right into our mixture here. One of the other ingredients that this calls for is nutritional yeast. And if you've never used this before, and I don't use it very often, but this is, it adds really great flavor, and it almost takes on the flavor of like Parmesan cheese, but it's a non-dairy version. So we're also going to add an egg and 2 tablespoons of Frank's Red Hot right into our mix, and we're going to mix and mash all of this together, and we're going to get our buffalo chicken CHaffles going. I can do 2 at a time because I have 2 little waffle makers. If you have a larger waffle maker, put it all on there. These will cook for about 5 minutes each. And so if you have more than one waffle maker or a larger waffle maker, it makes this mixture get together, cook much faster. So we're going to just mix the whole thing. And you want to make sure that you get all of the chunks of the chicken out of here. You really want to have a nice mash. And this, again, is 6 CHaffles. So check it out, guys. Make sure I got everything in there. Yes. Okay. So here's our mix. This is the consistency of our chaffle maker. Oh, Kathy just made a great comment. Hi, Kathy. How are you? So nutritional yeast. I don't use it very often, but it is great on to sprinkle on things. Now, we don't really eat popcorn, but it is very good on popcorn. So, you know, if you want to sprinkle it over salads, or if you're trying to go for something non-dairy, nutritional yeast actually gives a great flavor. Okay, so we're going to do both of our CHaffles at the same time. We'll do them for 5 minutes. And let me just get a nice spoon. And don't forget, you got to spray them a little bit. Who's talking to me? Oh, hi, Rhonda. How are you from Australia? Good to see you. Okay, so we're going to do a spray, top and bottom, and then we're going to do a nice, generous heaping help of our buffalo chicken chaffle mix. You can add more cheese on bottom and on top. I'm just going to add it just to the top. It adds an extra crispiness. Just a tiny little bit of cheddar cheese right there on top. Less than a teaspoon, about a teaspoon maybe at most. And those are going to go for 5 minutes. Okay? That can be like a super easy dinner that you can pull together. Again, this is nutritional yeast. You find it at every supermarket. It's Bragg's, and give it a try if you're looking for something new or something different. Okay, we're gonna get all this stuff sort of out of the way, because now we are gonna make my keto cheese Danish. So if you guys haven't been watching me lately, I've had this fetish with food processor fathead dough. That recipe is on the website, food processor fathead dough. And I make triple batch, and I keep it in discs. This is a disc of fathead dough. And somebody asked me last week, can you freeze this? And I'm happy to say that yes, you can freeze these. And then you're just going to bring it to room temperature. I let mine sit out on the counter for most of the day, and now it's soft. It's a soft dough, and we're going to make a really easy chocolate Danish with our fathead dough. So let's get this out of the way. I opted to go with Lily's milk chocolate, but there are many Lily's versions out there. I did a sea salted caramel chocolate last time, and it was really delicious. Okay, so can you see this I think you can. Okay, we are going to go with 2 pieces of parchment paper. We're going to put one on the bottom. We're going to put our dough right here. This dough, after you refrigerate it, it really does take on the consistency of real dough. So people ask all the time, like, where can you buy this? Unfortunately, you can't buy it. I'm sure there's manufacturers coming that will probably eventually you'll be able to buy fathead dough, but right now you have to make it. And it's a simple mixture of mozzarella cheese, cream cheese, almond flour, egg, and I like to add oat fiber to it. It gives it a nice springiness like bread. Okay, so we've got our dough. This out of the way. So we've got our dough, and we're going to top it with another piece of parchment paper. And basically what we're going to do here is we are going to make a nice size rectangle. This is the base of our chocolate Danish. I've heard from several people that this chocolate Danish is their favorite dessert that I've ever made. I don't know whether to believe them because they say that every single time, and they might just want to get samples of everything when I make them. But I have to say that this is a pretty easy dessert once you have the fathead dough made. And if you're making a triple batch of the fathead dough and keeping it in your freezer, you will always have it at the ready. I'm going to check our CHaffles a little bit longer, maybe like a minute more. And our baked feta salmon is doing its thing. Got about 5 more minutes on that. So this fathead dough, you want to get a rectangle. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. My pictures on the website will show you how to braid this, but we're going to do this right now. Okay, so here we go. We've got a nice flat piece of dough. You want to get this as much as a shape of a rectangle as you possibly can. So I'm going to cut this kind of cut and shape of just a little bit so that I can fill in some of like these corner areas. It's a little bit of a, we just kind of make it work. If we were in our old carb-filled world, you could buy sheets of puff pastry already made and you wouldn't have to do this. But it is what it is. We're not eating high-carb stuff, and this is a super fun treat, and it's a real showstopper. So there are Lily's. I'm using milk chocolate tonight, and you should be able to fit 2 Lily's chocolate bars the length of your dough. And there you go. Can you see how I made it? I did the whole length of the dough. We're going to pause here because I'm going to take our CHaffles off, and I'm going to add more to the chaffle mix. Yay! How beautiful. Oh, whoops. I think I got to use 2 hands on this one. Yes. Oh. Okay, so there's one. Here's number 2. There are a buffalo chicken CHaffles. I'm going to let those sit for a little bit, and those are going to get nice and crispy. Let's see, where should I put them? Put them right here. Make sure you have a cookie sheet where you can slide your your chocolate Danish right underneath. And we're going to let that sit here for a second because I'm going to load up my CHaffles one more time. Okay, a little spray, 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 spray. This time I'm going to add cheese to the top and the bottom. We'll get an extra little crisp on our chaffle. I have to mention, if you guys notice my new apron, this is a gal that I knew growing up. She is a designer out of Milan now, and her line is called LLJJ. I'm sorry, LA and it is one of my favorite new aprons, and I love the pockets on it. It's very stylish, right? Okay, be silly now. A little bit of cheese on both of these, both sides. 1 and 2, and we'll let that go for another 5 minutes. Now it's time to finish up my Danish. So here's one of the things about this. Is a classic braided Danish. There is nothing super fancy about this. If you don't want to do the fancy braid, just fold the dough over and put some slits in it and call it a day. But if you do this method, it actually is quite beautiful. So it's not hard to do. We're going to take little notches all the way down the side of the Danish. And I'm going to show you close up what this looks like. And there is a little bit of finagling with this. Again, this is not a store-bought dough. This is a homemade dough. And it is low carb. So, you know, I'm all good with that. Okay. So, do you see how I made these cuts in my dough? So, we're going to gently fold and alternate over the chocolate. But before I do that, I'm going to check the salmon because I've just did 15 minutes in there. Oh, and it's looking good. Our tomatoes need more time. And we're going to go, let's go for 5 or so more minutes because we want those tomatoes and onions to get nice and jammy and soft, because after we're going to mix them all together and they're going to be the sauce over our salmon. Okay, back to our chocolate Danish. So very gently, I lift up my my parchment paper with the dough on it, and I very gently just fold each arm over the chocolate. We'll just go like that. And don't worry if it cracks or breaks a little bit. It's all part of the charm of our chocolate dough. And but you know, we all just like the taste of it anyways when it's all baked together. And it will look quite beautiful. So don't despair. I'm going to cut this just a tad. I'm going to use this dough to cover up the top up there. So we're going to keep folding our dough over, braiding it down. I tell you, once I got this fathead dough made in the food processor and had it at the ready, I've been able to make danishes and pizza and all sorts of really delicious things, fathead pigs in a blanket. And it does freeze quite well. So we've got that going for us. These are things that you can make way ahead of time and pull out at a moment's notice so that you can have dinner on the table for all of those hungry little critters in your home, or just for yourself to have it ready. Is it's always good to have that. I'm going to take off this last row of chocolate just because my dough, I didn't roll it out quite flat enough. No harm, no foul. And then I'm going to cut those edges off. We'll cover up that part. And then I'm going to fold the edge to envelope our chocolate Danish, our keto chocolate Danish. And the finishing touch on our keto chocolate Danish is some slivered shaved almonds. And I'm just going to drizzle these right over the top. So these also cover up some of the cracks that you'll see, or if you have any cracks, it covers it all up. This is a trick that pastry chefs do when they are making a cheesecake and the cheesecake cracks. They just cover it all with whipped cream. It all tastes the same. Nothing's wrong with that. So, all right, Kit Kat, check it out. There is our chocolate Danish. This is going to go in the oven. As soon as that baked feta comes out, this is going to go into the oven for 15 minutes, and then I'll check it, and I'll do it for maybe like another 5, depending on how brown it's getting. You can also, in the recipe on my website, thekelliekitchen.com, if you want the recipe. Actually, I don't think I have this one up yet. It'll be up tomorrow, I promise, because I already took pictures and I already wrote it all out. But you use an egg wash, which is just a little bit of an egg scrambled with some water, and then you just paint it on here, and it gives it a nice sheen, and it's absolutely beautiful. And this will go into the oven for 15 or 20 minutes, and then you let it cool. And because this is the magic of television, I already made one, so I'm going to show you what it looks like fully done. But let me check on our feta. Our baked feta is looking amazing. I am gonna, now it's been in there for 20 minutes. Now I'm gonna turn it to broil. You don't have to do this. I like to get the top a little bit brown, and I like to get the vegetables a little bit caramelized. And as soon as that's done, in about 2 minutes, then I'm gonna put our chocolate Danish in there. In the meantime, it's time for me to check in on our truffles. Perfecto. Yum. Okay, so these are our buffalo chicken CHaffles. And we're going to take this out. And then we'll put our last batch of, oh goodness. I need I don't want to burn myself. There we go. And that's why you need to use the spray, to make sure that it really comes out. Okay, so spray, 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 spray. And then we'll put the last of the buffalo chicken. Don't forget the cheese. Little cheese on the bottom, little cheese on top. Perfect. Whoops. And these will probably be really good. This is something that you can batch cook also for, and save in your fridge, and then just reheat them if you have a toaster oven, or reheat them in the microwave for like just a couple of seconds. Okay, finished with the CHaffles. 5 minutes on there. Now we're gonna go up. Beauteous. And time to take out. Yum, yum, yum. Wow. So amazing. Okay, it's time for me to put our chocolate almond Danish is going in the oven. It's 400 degrees. I'm going to put it in for 15 minutes. And we'll set that. I don't know if we'll actually be done, if it will be done by the time we're done, but I have one already made, so I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Here, the last part of our baked feta salmon is fresh basil. I've tried to cheat on this and use just dried basil. You need to really do the fresh basil, and we're in season right now with this kind of stuff, or we're getting in season. So we're going to do the recipe calls for, I think it's a 1/4 cup of fresh basil. I always think the more the better on the fresh basil. We're going to give it a nice rough chop, and okay, so we'll move that to the side, because guess what I'm going to do? let's bring our baked salmon so you guys can see. The tomatoes are nice and jammy, and the cheese is kind of melty, and the onions have been nicely caramelized. And first thing we're going to do is we will take most of our basil, chopped basil, oops, drop some, and we're going to spread it around the outside over the cooked tomatoes and cooked onions, okay? Then we're going to take a spoon and we're going to mix all of the feta and the onions and the tomatoes, and you're going to break up the tomatoes so that they get nice and juicy and they mix in with the creaminess of the cheese, of the feta cheese. And I mean, is this like the easiest dinner of all time? So things that you can serve this with, because I would just eat this alone. You can certainly make a salad if you want. And so you can make a salad. If I have time tonight and if we're up for it, you guys have already seen me make mashed cauliflower. I do have a recipe for mashed cauliflower on my website. But my friends, there is our baked feta salmon. And this is Peter's dinner, and he's going to be so excited. I'm going to use the last bit of the basil. I'm going to sprinkle it right over top. You can spoon this right over the top of your baked feta salmon. There, my friends, is a delicious, easy, fun dinner. You can change it up and use different kinds of fish if you want. You wouldn't be able to do a shrimp because the shrimp would cook way too fast, and the tomatoes and the onions really need that time in the oven so that they get nice and caramelized and delicious and yummy. Okay, I'm gonna try one of these because I'm kind of hungry right now, and they're nice and crispy. Oh my gosh, you guys! This is a buffalo chicken truffle. Has the perfect buffalo flavor. These are great as leftovers. And that's going to be my dinner tonight. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay. I wanted to just mention one thing. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And I'll go through them in a second. So Amy says she's not a fan of salmon. You don't have to do salmon. You can do cod. You might even be able to do chicken in this as well. I'd be totally fine with the chicken. I think chicken, if it was thin enough, it would cook in about 20 minutes. And it could be a really great sort of like a baked feta chicken. Maybe we'll do that next week. Okay, last week I talked to you guys about this. You see what that is? This is called Resist by Sugar Break. So somebody just asked me what the carb count is. What is the carb count of what? The salmon or the Danish? Let me know. I'll try to answer that. So I found these at Target. They are breath strips. They're supposed to help with sugar cravings. I had not tried them last week. I wanted to know if anybody else had tried them. I tried it this week, and I have to say, while it does not kill hunger, it definitely kills any need or want of any sort of a sugar craving. I had one of these. I was hungry, and I was like, oh, I have those. Let me try them. So I tried this. It's called Resist by Sugar Break, and you can get them at Target, I think. Not expensive, like $5. And so if you are really having a sugar craving, this is really good for that. It's not good for curbing hunger at all. I was still hungry after I had these. So if you guys want to try these, I'm always finding things to share with you guys. And I just think if I am able to shed some light on something that I find maybe you guys can find it useful. Our CHaffles are still kind of doing their thing. Our baked salmon is all done. Our chocolate almond Danish has about 10 more minutes, but I'm going to show you exactly what our chocolate almond Danish looks like. And it is quite the showstopper. I should have pulled this out before I went on camera with you guys. But here is what our chocolate almond Danish looks like. And these are about, it's a kind of a generous size. And this is about 3 grams net carb per piece. And you have the whole Danish. It's great for Mother's Day. It's great for like a Sunday brunch if you wanted to bring something. Here you have your Fathead chocolate almond Danish. And it's really quite delicious. I'm not going to have any right now because I'm kind of in dinner mode, but check this out. I have the recipe will be up either later tonight or tomorrow. But chocolate almond Danish, it's really, really good, and I'm really quite proud of it. And I wish that one was going to be done soon, but I have a few more minutes. Okay, so let me see if there's any questions. I think everybody's good. If you ever have any questions, put them in the comments. And hi, Atsuko. Put them in the comments, and after the show, I will check in and answer any questions, or if you have any suggestions on things to make, that's good too. So Lisa asked if you can make the fathead dough without the food processor. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's how I made fathead dough for probably 4 years. I made it in the microwave and I just mixed it all by hand. So you can absolutely make fathead dough without the food processor. I just make it with the food processor just because it's so much easier. Someone just asked, Aaron asked if fathead dough is gluten-free. And fathead dough is absolutely gluten-free, provided that you use a gluten-free or aluminum-free baking powder as well, because it's made with almond flour and oat fiber. And oat fiber is not oats. It is the hull of the actual oat, and it's pure fiber, so there's no carbs in that as well. So you don't need a food processor to make fathead dough. I just use a food processor because it makes it so much easier, and I make a triple batch, and then I save, I cut it in thirds, and I save these balls of dough, and I can put them in the freezer and pull them out. On Friday night, Peter was going out with his friends, and they were, I think, going to have pizza, and I was like, I feel like having pizza. And I pulled out my fathead dough, and I took just a portion of it, and I made an individual pesto pizza that was so delicious. But it was like I could have pizza and not miss out because I had the fathead dough already in my freezer. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot, you guys. My buffalo. Why didn't you remind me? Oh geez. Okay, well, good news. I did not burn my CHaffles. Ooh. Well, that's good to know. Let's take this one out. We always like everything crispy around here anyways. That one kind of fell apart, but there, my friends, are buffalo chicken CHaffles, right? Thank you so much for watching, you guys. It is always a huge treat for me to come and see who comes to see me. And I just wanted to make mention that next Monday, we're going to be taking a break just for one Monday. I'm going to be on a boat, so I won't be able to come and see you next Monday. So we'll take a little bit of a break, but don't take a break from cooking a really yummy keto dinner for your family, or if you have any ideas, let me know. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Not next Monday, but the following Monday. And that's it for today. Bye.